Ladies, so you guys can take it away.
All right, Nikki, what do you have for us?
All right. Good morning, everyone. Exciting week in the mortgage world this week. The Fed is meeting today, or starting tomorrow. They are meeting for their two-day meeting that they do monthly. Now, although we're not expecting any rate cuts, we are anticipating some good news. And by good news, I mean that the Fed has kind of started to talk about how they want to do some buyback of some mortgage-backed securities and some buyback of the Treasury bonds. Why this is important to us is I'm not sure. Last week I was talking about how much they're releasing in bonds into the market and hoping that those bonds gets absorbed. And that amount that they're releasing is somewhere around $70 billion. Well, what their plan is actually this month is hopefully to cut that in half. When they release those bonds out into the market, they hope that they get absorbed to help kind of curb inflation and help fund some things and to help with the debt that we have as a nation. But because they're going to be cutting or slowing down the amount that they release into the market, this may be potential good news for the mortgage interest rates. So as they only release half of those back, we only have to get half absorbed, which means this could help for Treasury bonds as far as people willing to buy and people willing to invest in them, which will help decrease mortgage interest rates. We're super hopeful. Powell gave some indication that this is going to be the case, but we won't know anything for sure until Wednesday. Also important to note, the Treasury Department announced that they are thinking about buying back some of the Treasury bonds. Now, they have not done this in 20 years. The reason that they're thinking about doing this is because those inflation numbers are not coming down like we want them to see. So therefore, they're going to reabsorb some of those bonds that are in the market for their side, which, like I said, they haven't done in 20 years. If that happens, then again, that should help put pressure down on mortgage interest rates, hopefully pushing them back down into the low 6, high 5 range, which again, very hopeful that this will happen, but there's always no guarantees. Right now, we are in the mid to high 6 range as far as 30-year fixed interest rates are concerned. We had a little bit of a bump up last week into the 7s, but we've came back down from that and recovered nicely in hope for good news from the Fed meeting on Wednesday. So that's basically, it's another week of watch and see, another week of, nothing that we're hoping will surprise the bond market. So we should be pretty steady from here, throughout the week as far as rates go. If we do see some of that improvement in interest rates, obviously they know what's going to happen. People are going to start flooding the market to purchasing homes, which could be good for us as realtors and lenders. But for the housing market in general, it might increase that competition again. So just be aware of that as interest rates are going to be adjusting this week and into the next couple of weeks, we're going to see some differences in how people are wanting to jump on the bandwagon to purchase homes. So wait and see. So not a lot going on as far as on the streets from the mortgage side of things. Things are, from what I've seen, are pretty generic. I've talked about down payment assistance programs. We've talked about renovation loans, things of that nature. So one of the things that I've been concentrating on last week and into this week is updating and continuing to update and market and things of that nature to my CRM. Now, I know that is a very, hard and difficult word and for a lot of people in our industry, because we like to be out talking to people. We don't like to write things down and complete tasks and things of that nature. But I've noticed that as I do that and as I continue to update my data and keep in touch with the clients that are prospects, that things start happening. So just a reminder to, if you don't have a CRM, I would highly recommend you implement one. And by a CRM, I don't just mean put people in a marketing database and send them emails. It can help you make sure you remember to contact people. It can help you make sure that you understand where your pipeline is at as far as prospects go, people that are in process and people that have closed in the last year. Super important to keep up with those people that you closed, as we all know. So how do you do that? I would just highly encourage for you to implement a CRM. Otherwise, what we can do on our side is we have some co-marketing options. We can set up an email that goes out to you that talks about different loan programs that we're marketing in the week. We can co-brand some flyers, and so you guys have something to send to your clients or your prospects. It could be something that's relevant and of value. It could talk about a program. It could talk about, just mortgage news in general. and those can all be co-branded. So we have that available. So if you want to take a look at that and have some possibilities, let me know. I send that stuff out all the time to, you know, different agents, things of that nature that want to have something relevant to bring to their pipeline. So just an FYI for you on there, kind of getting back to the basics and back to the tasks at hand.
I love that. And we have a few people on here that aren't on camera. Does anyone have any questions that you want to come off mute and ask Nikki about, you know, how she opened up with the Fed meeting or anything from last week's call or anything in general? I'd love to give the time and space for people to get specific questions answered. I don't see anyone coming off mute, so you'll just have to listen to me talk then.
I do, Angie.
Okay, go ahead, Aminata.
Yeah, so you said the interest rates is what? What do we add on now, right now?
We're in the mid to high sixes on a 30-year fixed.
Okay, and I don't know, I tried reaching out to you, texting you, because I would love to do that branding you're talking about.
Okay.
But I don't know if that was the right number. It says like not responding or something.
Yeah, it might not have been the right number then. I just put my contact information up there in the chat if you want to just text me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think I'm just gonna jump right in to piggyback on what you were talking about your database or your CRM. And it's so important. And what I coach to and I talk about is your database. I like to call it a data bank because you have money sitting in it. So it's really about, and if you're at EXP, you know, you get KB Core, which is a really powerful lead generation tool and also a data bank that you can be using for all of your sphere, your past clients, prospects, all of that. And Nikki, when you said that you do a lot of co-branding, definitely if you're not with a lender that does that, go with Nikki, because this is one of those things where I talk about all of the people that are part of your network or your referral partners or your lenders, your inspectors, your stagers, photographers. Those are all a direct extension of your business. And they have so many ways to pour back into your business. And if you are partnered with someone that's not able to, or not willing to, or doesn't have the time, or it's not their specialty, think about that. Really start thinking about who you're partnering with and how that you guys are both helping each other's business. Because like you had mentioned, Nikki, you're co-branding. In KB Core, it takes maybe, once you get the hang of it, 5 to 15 minutes to create a newsletter. And that's when you hit up Nikki, you go to your stager, you go to your photographer, your inspectors, and they can create the content for you for your newsletter. So you don't have to sit here, twiddle your thumbs thinking about, or go to ChatGPT trying to think about all this stuff, and it can take you an hour or 2 or 3 to create a newsletter. That should be something that you get really good at. You can do weekly or monthly at a minimum, and there's your 12 points touch rate there for these people in your database, and that should go out to everyone. Database, not database. See, I have to catch myself sometimes. So think about that. Think about how often you're touching and reaching out. I was just on one of the real estate mastermind groups, and someone was just getting bombarded and berated for saying 60 touches. They're like, I would cancel you, I would block you. I was like, oh my gosh, the team I was on did 161 touches a year. I was like, oh, I better not say anything. I don't want to get that hate, but think about it. You have your anniversary, you have all of the main holidays, and it's not phone calls all the time. It's text messages, it's emails, it's articles, it's something from your lender, such as Nikki. I mean, it doesn't all have to be you either. So that's where I want you to think about how you're really going about this and doing this and staying in front of and staying top of mind. I know I have a lot of agents who are just like, well, I've been calling and I don't hear back. And we start telling ourselves these stories in our head about why they're not calling us back and what did we do wrong? Or, oh, I thought that we just had such a great transaction. I'm just so surprised. Well, the point is, and the fact is they don't need you. So they're not going to call you back. I had a past client who I called religiously every single quarter, and I followed up with a text and I sent out emails. Nothing. And I thought we were best friends after our transaction. It went so well. We had so much fun. And I was like, I almost got a little like, God, did I miss something? Or, and 2.5 years later, they raised their hand when they needed me. Hey, my daughter is thinking about, can you help us? I'm like, absolutely, I'm there. But I didn't hear from them for 2.5 years because they didn't need me. But guess what? When they did need me 2.5 years later, I was top of mind because I stayed in front of them. So watch the stories you tell yourself about how much you're contacting your sphere or your past clients or prospects or anyone in your data bank. Really think about that, because this is a business. You are a business owner and it's your job to stay top of mind. So the point is just to get creative about what that looks like and how you're doing it.
Yeah, and I will say that I am a huge CRM user, have been since, I started originating mortgages. 65% of my business comes from my database. Repeat clients, repeat or client referrals from actual clients and client referrals, not from realtors, not from financial advisors, not from all those other sources. So it does work if you keep at it, and you, like you said, you have those touches per year. So for example, we do email, text, call, and other kinds of marketing touches that we do. We do birthdays, phone calls or texts. We do home loan reviews, so you could do CMA reviews if you need to. We subscribe to HomeBot, which has been huge. HomeBot has helped us tremendously start to, have that data bake situation come to fruition. We do some holidays. We don't do all the holidays, but we do some holidays because it gets exhausting. But those personal touch points and those personal texts and those personal, just very quick hellos, like you said, they're not going to contact you till they need you, but staying in front of them is key because it does work. It does, if you put it, a lot of it can be automated and some of it has to be personal, but if you set up tasks and reminders and commit yourself to doing it, I guarantee you'll see that database can be like you said, a place for your pipeline and place to grow, and there's money in there for sure.
Absolutely. And it's not just Nella, it's not just your past clients and your sphere, it's prospects. And that's almost just as important, if not more, because I think average, and Nikki, might be different in your industry, but on average, and this has even gone up, it's a minimum of 6 contacts for prospects before they'll ever reach out. And most agents aren't going to do more than 2, possibly 3. And of your prospecting and of the people you're reaching out to and you're staying in front of, 70% of that will turn to business if you continue to follow up. However, most agents won't follow up. So even if you put them in your database, your CRM, your data bank, and you follow up with them, you are at such a higher opportunity to convert that, because agents won't do it. They're not doing it. So just think about that. If you just did that, you would be in the top 10% of agents that are converting these leads, because most aren't willing to do it, or they don't want to bother. They let all those stories that they're telling themselves and what they think is happening stop them from picking up the phone or sending a text or getting them in that drip campaign where a lot of it's done automatically. And they don't want to be told, to go away, or even worse things I've been told. But you know what? That's part of it. And think about all the successes and lean on the successes and lean on the people who you have helped, not the ones that told you to buzz off. Like, you just have to do it from a different perspective and a mind shift and think about it from that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, as you get better at it, you can take a look at a particular client, for example, and say the likelihood of them transacting in the next, 3 years is high, medium, or low. We do that all the time with our database, is just talk about, as mortgage loan reviews, what's the chance of them transacting in the next, 3 years? What do we know about them? Things of that nature. And that can help determine and help us kind of weed out who we give those personal text touches to, but that doesn't take away from, we're still marketing to them. We're still doing the HomeBot thing, you know, so that they have our information. They at least see our name, but they aren't going to necessarily need us. And that's okay too. You know, are we, you know, the other thing that I always do is I always, you know, everyone in my database, if they have a Facebook, if they have an Instagram, if they have a LinkedIn, I've messaged them, I've friend requested them, I've connected with them on LinkedIn, just so that my presence can be in front of them. Whether they accept or not is neither here nor there, but I've at least done the practice of connecting with them and trying to find them online and make sure that we are connected in one way, shape, or form. And that goes with anyone involved in the transaction, the title person, the sellers, the buyers, the, you know, agents, the whoever that I know that was involved in that transaction. I try to go out and have them connect with me on the social media side, because that does help, believe it or not. Being out there and being present on social media is probably the #1 way people are going to see you and remember you.
Absolutely. And with AI and HomeBot, I mean, if they're on and if they're doing stuff, that I love that, Nikki, that you brought that up, because AI will tell you what the probability is. Like, they will put these people in buckets for you, like, call them now. They're going to do something in the next 12 months, in the next 6 months, and then the next 3 months. So AI is not going away. And if you don't embrace it and figure out how you can plug in and use it, in a year, 2 year, 5 year, you may very well be left behind in the AI world and how this is going to look from now to 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So think about that. Think about, it's not even as hard as it used to be. I mean, everything's always listening to us. Your clicks, everything that we're doing is, you know, being put into a processor or whatnot, wherever AI lives in the cloud, and it's telling us exactly what we want to know about these people on our apps in our world. So important. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Any last questions before we jump off? Definitely want to keep it to the 20 minutes as promised. All right, everyone. Well, Nikki's information's in the chat. Nikki, your phone number, just in case people aren't pulling up the chat.
952-484-1584.
Wonderful. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
you.
We'll talk next week.
Bye.